Hey everyone, today I'll be reviewing my newest MOC, Scythe. This MOC took me about 2 hours to build, and he's upwards of 200 pieces. If you're wondering how tall he is, here he is up to a 6-inch MOC, and here he is up to a 10-inch MOC. So you can see he's probably about 8 inches tall, maybe more like 9 at the very tip of his head if you stand his head up as high as it can go. So he's a fairly average sized MOC, at least a fairly average sized MOC that I build. Scythe is the next MOC in my new line of military style MOCs. So this was the first MOC that I built in that style, and so he's the second. And I'd like to say he's quite an improvement on the design of this little guy. He's a lot taller and a little bit more posable, I think, and he looks better, at least to me. And as promised, I made him a new gun design, which I'll show you closer up later on in the review. And as always, the first thing we'll look at are his legs. The legs were the very last thing that I built on this MOC, and I think they turned out looking pretty good. I really like the use of this Bionicle spike piece as like a shin guard or like a knee spike that he can knee somebody with. Those look pretty cool. I should have actually made his legs a little bit longer than they are because they're not quite proportionate with his actual body size, but I guess that doesn't really matter since he is a robot. There's not too many details on the legs. I do want to point out that I built them with the intention of connecting his guns to his side, and so you can connect both guns on either side. And I really think that's a good quality with this MOC. A lot of times I'd want to take the weapons out of my MOC's hands, and there's not really a place to put them. So I think this is a good change for my MOCs. I might start giving each of my MOCs holsters, just depending on if it looks good with their design and if it works out with the gun. Next, I'll show you his arms. I really like the arm design. It's kind of simple, but I think it works well for this MOC. I like the use of the jaw blade underjaw piece for an elbow spike. I think that looks pretty cool, and it was very easy to incorporate, and it's actually crucial in connecting his hand. It really reinforces his forearm and helps the design to look better and work better. The design for the arms probably took me about 15 minutes to come up with, and I really like the design. I might actually use parts of it later on in some of my other MOCs. Just like the previous military MOC that I built, this one has a pivot point just right above his waist to give him some more articulation, and so he can get into more dynamic poses. And if I ever use him in a stop motion, he can have better movement for punching and kicking, and I think that's actually something that I've been missing in my MOCs, having that point right there where they can move around and they can really just get in better poses. Now, the unfortunate thing about adding that pivot point right there is that it's kind of hard to detail the body, because if you add too many techniques, it's going to restrict the movement. So you kind of have to find interesting ways to detail his body without restricting the movement right there. Another little detail that I wanted to point out is I just gave him a lot of these little green canisters, most likely representing just some type of gas. At least the wires are going into these little canisters of gas and distributing it throughout his systems. I really like the use of these wires right here. I think that looks pretty cool. It almost looks like a rib cage, which is kind of cool. And there's not really much detailing on his back. There are some more canisters back here, but there's not really much to point out on his back. I gave him these offshoots right here. Those are like kind of like exhaust. And then I gave him a 4.0 drone up front for his chest plate. And then he has a Bionicle head. I don't remember which Bionicle it came from, but I think that's like the perfect head for this MOC. Either this head or Hydraxon's from Bionicle. That would have been another good head to give to this MOC. I think this is one of my better MOCs, especially in this military style. I think he'll be one of the best that I build in this style. And now I'll show you his guns closer up. Here are his guns. I think they look pretty cool. They're just compact little pistols, and they're a very simple design, but I think they look good for what they're going for. You can line up a shot with the iron sights, which I think is a very good addition to these guns. Unfortunately, there isn't a place to reload them. Unlike this gun that I built for my previous military MOC, you can actually take out the magazine, which is a cool touch. I actually like this gun more than this little pistol design, just because I think this gun looks a little better, and you can also line up a shot with this one as well. Now, these guns will always have one advantage, because they can be actually holstered by a MOC. Here he is one last time with his pistols holstered. I think that's a cool look. I'm very glad I was able to incorporate the actual connection point right there. I think that it really adds to the MOC. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos.